Hey guys, Scott here looking at the patch notes for 4.3. I realize this is the PTB, so some of these things could change a little bit, but I'm still going to talk about it as if it's an actual patch, because usually they don't change too much from the PTB. But, you know, everything here is subject to change. Also, I'm wearing my cloak of I don't feel good, so sorry about that. So first, let's look at the executioner changes. We knew this was coming. Basically, what they're trying to do is make his gameplay less boring, because basically all Pyramid Head is right now is when the survivor gets to a window or a pallet, Pyramid Head starts dragging his shit. The survivor doesn't drop the pallet, he cancels it, M1s them. If they do drop it, he uses his power and hits them anyway. So it's a very boring gameplay loop, and I guess that's why they're changing it. But usually, if you know, I'm okay with things being changed, but I don't think Pyramid Head needed to be nerfed. Like, he's not a super top tier killer in my opinion or anything like that. So I think just a straight nerf to him is not good. But they did give him a bit of a buff too, so I just think the buff is a lot smaller than the nerf. So basically, the punishment for canceling your power is a lot longer. You get slowed down and can't attack for a second. But the punishment for missing your range attack, basically they're trying to make him more skillful, so you go for more of the range attacks. But it's only a reduction of 0.5 seconds, and you're actually losing basically 2 seconds here. So it's a net nerf for Pyramid Head. Not too happy about that because I don't think he's super amazing. He's a good killer, but he's not like, you know, top tier that needed a nerf or anything like that. In fact, I don't really think any killers in the game need a nerf. Some needs changing, but yeah, overall, not too happy to see him nerf, but I don't play him much, so personally I'm not that affected. But I understand people being upset about that. But, you know, I have to say, I do understand why they're trying to change him, because his gameplay is kind of boring. But I think they should have given him a bit more of a bone, because it's a little too much in one direction, I think. As for his perks, Trail to Torment is now you are undetectable until the generator is stopped from aggressing, which is pretty cool. So that could give you a lot more undetectable. Now, it also could last a less amount of time, too, if survivors nearby. But I think on average, killers will find that they have more use out of the perk now. Plus, that means you can combine it with things like surveillance and things like that, get some more information too. So it's got some more perk synergy, and it's possibly stronger as well. So I think overall that's a good change, and I like it. I don't think anyone that... I'm not going to say no one's going to use it, but it's not going to be, you know, a meta perk or anything like that. Force Penance and Blood Pact are still not going to be used despite the changes. Blood Pact, it may seem like this part is a bit abusable, because you gain basically the same speed bonus as Hope for as long as you're near the other survivor involved, which seems like it could be abusable, like by Survivor with Friend squads and stuff. But the thing is, like, you know, even if it takes you twice as long to down somebody in a loop because they're moving faster, it's only going to work if there's two people basically looping you. So even though it's taking you twice as long to get rid of the loop, it's also, you're dealing with twice as many survivors too. So the time efficiency ends up not being that much lost. It's not that big of a deal. I can see some scenarios where there's like a survivor in a locker or on a generator or something like that, and he's giving his teammate a big speed boost, but then you can just knock the other guy off the gen or get the other guy out of the locker. So it seems like this could be abusable, but I don't think it's going to be that bad. In the same way that I don't think flashlights are a problem at all, because survivors have to go in your face to use it, and multiple people have to, you know, do it. So I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. I saw some people worrying about bullying and stuff like that, but I don't think it's going to be a big deal, but we'll see. Now for other perks, Any Means Necessary, which is the perk that lets you pick a pallet back up after it's been dropped. Now awards blood points when used and its cooldown's been reduced. Cool. I mean, can't really complain. I think it didn't really need that long of a cooldown. A lot of the time, there's just not that many options to really use it, so I'm okay with that. Cool change. For the people, now awards blood points when used. Sure. Okay. That's the perk that lets you pick people up off the ground immediately at a cost to one of your health states, so sure, that's... why not? Not very impactful, but I mean, it's free blood points, can't complain. Thanatophobia no longer affects healing speed, and its penalties have been increased to basically to 5%. It's essentially a nerf. I don't know what the fuck is going through their head when they're making this perk even worse. I think the thing with Thanatophobia, they're so scared of making it a good perk because they're scared of stacking it with other perks. Other slowdowns, like stacking it with Sloppy Butcher or, you know, Freddy stuff, and then you've got a lot of slowdown and it feels very oppressive. So I think all they have to do is just make it not stack with other slowdown. So what you can have Thanatophobia do, make it, you know, let's see, 5% times 4 should be 20. So let's just spitball and say it's like, you know, 8% per injured survivor, something like that. So that would be 32% overall. But then you can make it so that it doesn't reduce everything by 32%. It sets everything to, you know, 68% or so, you know, I'm just saying, like, you make it a flat value that cannot be modified or stacked with anything. So that allows you to control the perk a lot more. It allows you to, you know, balance it well, and actually make it, not oppressive when combined with other slowdowns. Because still by itself, like, what is this? Basically, like 3 additional seconds on a gen with every survivor injured. It's really not that much. And then the net loss of time from all the survivors not having to worry about slowdown healing anymore, it makes it worse overall. The numbers are just too small. For how small numbers are in Dead by Daylight, it's just too small. Yeah, when you have 5% of a million, it's a lot. It's a big number. But when you have, 5% of 80 seconds, it's really just not that much. And that's with every survivor injured, it's like another 15 seconds on a gen, whereas it used to be another 12 seconds on a gen. And that's with every survivor injured fulfilling the maximum potential of the perk. It's just not good enough to warrant using on most killers. I could say Plague and Legion, sure, but that's about it. Like, most killers are not going to get enough use out of it to warrant a perk slot. There are just too many other better game delay perks. So if they're worried about stacking it, they need to have it just so it sets the slows to a value that cannot be modified in any way. So that's just the slowdown you perk that you bring. And I think that would make it a lot safer to tinker with the numbers and make them a bit better. Because it's just not worth it at the moment. It's almost never worth it to bring the perk. Mindbreaker's effect now lasts 3, 4, 5 seconds. Okay, no one's ever going to use Mindbreaker still. It's the perk that makes you exhausted after you get off a gen for a few seconds. It's just not going to be worth it. Cruel Limits range. That perk is awful. Increasing the range is not going to matter. Slippery Meat no longer affects bear trap escapes. Okay. It increases the chance of escaping the hook by a little bit too. I mean, that's cool. I would say that as a buff, because just using it solely as a trap or counter, it's pretty much unheard of nowadays. So, I guess that is a very, very slight buff. I still think, if you want to get off the hook, Deliverance is the way better option, because you don't risk literally killing yourself. But, I mean, yeah, I would be lying if I said that was not a small buff. Lullaby now only affects healing and repairing skill checks. They managed to nerf the worst hex perk in the game, which is just fucking amazing. I don't even know what... okay. Technician now prevents all gens from explosions from the skill checks. Okay, no one's ever going to use it still. That doesn't do anything. Generator now loses more progress if you miss a skill check, so they managed to actually add a downside to one of the most useless perks in the game. Incredible. Pop Goes Weasel now. Oh, we already talked about Pop in the last video, so I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. 15 seconds is not that huge. I don't think it needed a nerf, but it's not that big of a deal, so whatever. But still, nerfing perks that didn't need to be nerfed. We're going to Live Forever now increases healing speed by 100% while healing a survivor in the dying state. I like this, actually. That's good. That's, it was always compared to Barbecue and Chili for not having a secondary effect while maintaining the same double blood points. So I like that increased healing speed on slug survivors. That's useful, and it fits the theme. So good change. That's one of the few very good changes I've seen so far. Awesome. Players now gain a token when rescuing a survivor by stunning the killer. This part made me laugh. By stunning a killer, sure. With a pallet saber or blinding them with a flashlight. But it's already been like this for 3 years. I made a joke that it's because a dev has never actually gotten a flashlight save in their life with We're Gonna Live Forever, or you would notice that, but you already get tokens for saving people with flashlights. So I don't know why this is mentioned as if it's a brand new thing, but it's been in the game for over 3 years now. The stunning a killer with a pallet thing is cool though, I guess, because you can get pallet stuns pretty easily nowadays. So I would say that is a pretty big buff to it. Get more blood points, which is nice. But yeah, I don't know why. I don't know why they mentioned this part. That just makes me so sad. Then they talk about some other things where they're changing the terms to be more unified across perks. So that's good. Less confusion is always good. And then there's the McMillan update, which I'll go over later. The McMillan update worries me because of breakable walls. I think breakable walls are not a good addition to the game most of the time. The way that they're adding breakable walls is not the correct way, where they are... Basically, breakable walls should benefit the killer, because the killer has to spend time breaking them. So the killer has to invest time into it, but the survivor does not have to invest time into it, if that makes sense. So I always think the walls should favor killers. If anything, it should be in reverse. Survivors should have to build the walls instead. So that way, because there's 4 survivors, they have 4 times as much effective time. So therefore, they should have to build the walls to make things stronger, not killers have to break the walls to make them not infinites. I think that the whole breakable wall thing is just reversed. It should be benefiting killers, not survivors, because they have 1/4 as much time available to them. So, yeah, that's a whole separate video I want to talk about. So, we'll see what the actual McMillan changes are good. It looks pretty, which is nice. But yeah, the whole breakable walls thing, new breakable walls, always scare me. So we'll definitely see how that has to go. But that is it, guys. Thank you very, very much for watching. I'm gonna go lay back down now. See ya.